debuted on Netflix in December 16th.
Oh, Netflix. My bad.
Okay.
But That's why it's all out. That's why it's all out.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought sci-fi.
I can dig it. Because it's a science fiction story?
No, because there's another show that I watched. Oh, fuck. What was it called?
Why does Variety call it a film? It says why the OA is one of the year's most important films.
I don't know. I mean, it is one story that runs for 8 pieces, basically.
Yeah, I'm excited. How many episodes?
8, I think.
Oh, good. That's totally digestible, too. I like when a show is like 8 episodes.
Yeah, there's people so up in arms about the show that, like, they're demanding a season 2, and there wasn't, like, when you watch it, you could see that there could be a season 2, but it doesn't need it. Like, it's definitely like, oh, that was great.
Yeah. No, I'm super excited because I have 20 minutes of Westworld left to watch.
Ooh. Amazing, right?
From the last episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
We should probably start the show because we're just going to continue talking about all this shit, right?
Yes.
Okay. Don't flush the toilet.
You are now tuned in to the Crappy Awesome Podcast.
Welcome to another highly prepared episode of the Crappy Awesome Podcast. We're your host, the Diego Brown Project. I am Mr. Arash, even though nobody calls me Mr. And with me is KILLcRey, even though we'll call him Chris.
Hey, yeah.
And Eddie. He's not a guest. He's our producer. He's our manager.
I'm just here to hang out today.
Yeah.
Let's just throw him in the guest spot, though. You know what I mean?
So introduce him later?
Yeah.
All right, listeners, pretend like that last 30 seconds didn't happen.
Yeah.
We're, of course, brought to you by... Yeah, shut up.
But
No talking. We're, of course, brought to you by Platform Collection. Go to platformcollection.com and check out all the content that's on there. There's music and interviews and essays. And, I mean, for the love of Christmas by now, if you're listening to the show, you should know that it is a website that you will get lost in. And while you're there, check out our sibling podcasts. There is Culture Sessions, hosted by Malathion Archive, produced by Spock Beats.
Spock Beats.
The 2Mex Hologram Podcast, hosted by the notorious 2Mex.
Yeah.
What else we got here? You know what I've been doing?
What?
I've been looking for my notes,
Uh-huh.
and they weren't up. So I kind of went through like the beginning part of it that I do remember.
Trying to think you could get through it.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, so I'll take it from here. 2Mex Hologram Radio, by the way.
Oh, I'm back. Got it.
If you don't know.
I was going to do that at the end.
Okay.
Okay, let's do that at the end. There's Proof of Life Radio, hosted by KILLcRey and Kali.
Yeah.
Life on the Road with 60 East. Wow, that sounded like a car fart.
I was going for that.
Perfect. Really though, with Cookbook.
Really though.
Orchestrated with Noah James and Lisa J. Status Escalate with Kali. The Ghetto Blaster Podcast, hosted by Ricochet, Jen Johnson.
I don't know. I think they'll work it out on there.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
I don't know what's happening with that right now.
Me neither. Dude, we have a big company.
Yeah, well, that's why I need the notes.
I don't know what's going on with
I don't know what's...
they're on the network.
There's so much happening.
I mean, technically, Ricochet becomes officially on the network on Monday.
Okay.
So in real time. And so if you're listening to this one, this came out on Thursday. So Monday, his show. Check that out. The Ghetto Blaster Podcast. Premiering solely at Platform Collection.
Solely.
Yeah.
Exclusive.
2Mex
Hologram Radio, of course, as was hinted a few short seconds ago, is now 24/7.
It's
2Mex Hologram
okay,
Radio?
so this is what it is. I want to break it down for everybody. Because it literally launches tomorrow. By the way,
As of this recording.
Tomorrow. Everything's going to change.
Everything.
2Mex Hologram Radio is brought to you by platformcollection.com. So we're powering this. This is what we did. We said, you know what, 2Mex, you have a show on K-Day. That show is amazing. But let's be honest. This is the business. Arash, we've been in this business for a long time.
Yes.
The show's on at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
On a Saturday.
That's why I listen to it.
Yeah. And because you're the only guy out at that time.
Yeah.
Nothing good happens after 2 a.m.
Yeah. Usually waking up with regrets and missed opportunities.
Yeah. Sometimes in cuffs. But we were just like, dude, this is, that show in itself was amazing. You know, it was something that was never really done in LA because it basically comes from this world of hip hop, or a part of hip hop that is largely positive, largely intellectual, very alternative, very open-minded.
All the stuff that doesn't sell T-shirts.
Yeah, and I don't want to say like it's a renaissance, because it's not. It's very definitely, there's a lot of new ways of thought coming out of the hip hop world, and 2Mex has always been at the forefront of that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? He's still relevant now doing that, and we wanted to give him a platform where he could curate a lot of this music that he would constantly. Like, you'll go to his house, he'll show you, like, yo, I just found this. And it'll just be this amazing artist from the middle of nowhere with very little followers that is playing at a very high level. And he just has a knack for that. That's what he's into. So we said, let's take that concept, apply it to a radio station that plays it streams 24 hours a day on the internet with an app that you can download. You can put it on your phone.
Wow.
Because, some people listen to like Spotify and maybe they're like, you know what? I'm not going to change from the hip hop station today. I'm probably just going to listen to hip hop today. Why not go to this thing where, by the way, one of the things that's really cool about this radio station is we're really letting this be known. Anything could happen.
Ooh.
Literally, you could be in the middle of a day, work day, listening to some music, and all of a sudden, boom, there's a live concert on the air being broadcast from that show that you couldn't get tickets to, but now you can hear it live right on the radio. Or 2Mex is going to have shows on it. You and I are going over there with a new concept.
Yeah. Man, when you said anything could happen, I was like, man, is it like Game of Thrones?
It's like Game of Thrones.
It's like rappers.
Yeah, you could die on the first day.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Nobody's safe.
So basically, and Platform Collection itself as a company, and you guys know, like a lot of the people that we work with, we're going to have our own hour on there where we play everything that comes through Platform Collection. So it's going to be really dope. We're super excited for it. And you can also reach that radio station by going to 2mexhologram.com. And that'll point you straight over there right now.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And it launches tomorrow.
It launches tomorrow.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Everything is changing.
Yeah.
I really wish it was kind of like Walking Dead, though, where
people just died all the time.
Yeah. We're going to have to knock somebody really important off, like in the first season.
Well, there's a lot of new shows, so we'll see if the rookies can cut it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're cutting rookies all day if we have to.
Maybe AWOL 1 gets shot or something.
Oh, no. He hasn't even come out yet.
Exactly. We've been teasing it the whole time.
Yeah.
It's been setting up this whole time, and then, like, he gets eaten by zombies.
Maybe AWOL's more... Maybe this is more down AWOL's headspace. It's live. He doesn't have to prepare it. He could just go on and be crazy AWOL for an hour and then go away.
This is true.
Well, we'll see.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Platform Collection. That is one word all spelled out. And on Twitter at Platform Collect with no Sean. Shout out Tour Project. Our sponsors, sort of. They do things.
They're the homies.
They are working to bring you a more private web browsing experience. Learn more at tourproject.org. I actually said Lorne. Did you hear that?
Learn more. You've replaced E's with O's
because of the toe. Because the tour.
Huh. You did it earlier in the show, yeah.
What word was it?
I don't know. Everybody rewind right now.
Okay.
Just keep rewinding until you find it.
Okay. And you're back.
Don't worry, they're not going to hear any of this.
No,
rewinding.
I guess since they're not listening right now anyway, I could tell them about Burner Podcast.
Yes.
That's over at burnerpodcast.com, hosted by yours truly. All kinds of content and stuff coming out of there as well about the Burning Man community.
Yeah.
So tell them about Stitcher and iTunes, and does that even matter anymore?
I don't know, man. We're in this new
world.
We're
in an app. I don't even know if that's all matters anymore.
Yeah, anyways, if you're listening to this on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, go over to crappyawesome.com. You can hear a few. Actually, Crappy Awesome, we're only going to keep it up for so much longer. We don't do anything there.
Yeah.
It's just space. We can hold on to the name. Maybe when we get fired from Platform Collection at some point, just make our own. Yeah.
That's
what we'll keep it for. Otherwise, what are we doing? It's just a billboard.
You guys can continue I guess we could all just move into my little studio apartment over here and start like a whole new thing.
Yeah. I'm with that. With that. So that's in our future.
Word.
But guys, if you're listening to us on any of those other platforms, go over to platformcollection.com and discover some of the shows you may not be listening to. And at this point, the floodgates are open. It's the Wild West. I have no idea what's going to happen. I know more shows are coming now because some of the radio shows are going to be made into podcasts because why not?
Yeah.
So that you can have it on demand.
Absolutely.
Holy fuck. What are we doing?
We should make a movie of Crappy Awesome.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
We have like on-demand content. We're taking, dude. You know what? I forgot to mention this. One of the really cool things on the radio station, we have an infrastructure now set up that they're going to be able to say you're listening to a song, a Reverie song, and you love Reverie, and you're like, man, I wish I could hear that song again. You can request it live, and it'll play. It'll eventually play. You're gonna have to wait a little bit, but it'll come right back up. You can make songs stay in rotation.
Yeah.
So it's literally a people-controlled radio station.
Oh man, what if like people keep requesting really shitty songs?
Dude, it'll be amazing though. You know what I mean? Think about the sociological effects of that.
Yeah. But like, what if like they decided to like Google bomb us and demand nothing but Vanilla Ice 24/7?
I guarantee you we don't have Vanilla Ice in the catalog.
Okay.
I saw the catalog last night. There's some stuff you're gonna be able to request. I mean, you can request whatever you want, but whether we have it or not,
Word up.
Go other places for that.
Who's our guest today, Eddie?
I am.
I looked at
It was
Chris.
almost like a.
I looked at Chris while I said that, by the way.
You did a mental juke on him.
It's like, oh, what? Oh, is that a cue?
These are words come out mouth.
Now, please talk. Damn.
So Eddie's here.
Yes.
We're basically just taking a look back on the year in art, music, personal lives. There's been a lot of changes, ups and downs.
Were we supposed to prepare for this?
No.
Okay.
No. Come on. What's wrong with you? Would you have?
No.
Okay. But so we're just taking a look back. We've had an amazing year, guys. And I think by far we could probably say progress-wise, because we can't speak for everybody, although we like to.
Yeah. Often do.
I might
Today
talk about
we'll
that.
just talk for ourselves.
No, talking for people.
Oh, 4 people?
Yeah.
What did he say?
He said I might talk about somebody else.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about all kinds of people.
Yeah.
Speaking for them, though, is different. Like,
Oh, okay.
I can't, like, speak on Chris's behalf that he loves katsu roll sushis because I don't
Right.
know if he likes katsu roll sushis.
I don't.
Okay.
See?
But I
See,
might lie and
had
say
he-
he just...
Yeah, no, see, what you're doing is
Oh.
not good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, people don't like that.
Okay.
Don't be presumptuous.
I'll stop.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you nervous being on the show? Do you
No,
still
I
get
think
nervous
so.
being on the show?
No.
You've watched enough now.
Yeah, I think I've gotten better maybe at talking.
Yeah.
I guess that was a key to be part of this.
Who
is
knew?
That, damn, you got to talk. Oh, shit.
You got to move your
I
mouth.
kept listening to the podcast. How come I'm not on
Let me,
any of the shows that I'm on?
I remember setting up a place for myself.
Yeah. Did
And
I
it's
say
gone now.
words?
Were you, was Eddie at that? Yeah, he was there, right? The one that we did with Scoop DeVille.
Yes.
Yes.
The one that I got super
Super
high
stoned,
on, and
yeah.
then like I was like
I-
way far away from people.
Yeah, you know what? I was thinking about that the other day. Was that the first time was on top of the amount of smoke we smoked?
Yeah.
Was that the first time? I remember there being a conversation about that being the first time you were going to be high on the show, period.
Yeah, it was.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
It was.
Then that made the story so much more epic.
Yeah, well, for anybody who heard that episode,
Yeah.
like I barely spoke. I felt like
Yeah.
I want to say afterwards you were saying no, you were fine,
Yeah, I think you were probably fine
but I
on
think
the show.
the amount of time in my brain that existed between me
Spaces.
saying things, I
It's
think
like
felt like it was
days.
really long.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
afterwards,
in fact, no, I know for a fact that I thought you were fine because I didn't notice how high you were until afterwards.
Until
remember?
after, yeah. So after that was what happened afterwards. Is that we're all standing around. Well, okay. This is what I thought was happening. We're all standing around in the same area,
In a circle.
having a smoke break,
In a
right?
doorway, yeah.
right? Having a smoke break, and there was like Scoop, a couple of Scoop's homies, you, Ricochet, Eddie, me,
Yeah.
and there's a conversation happening, and then every once in a while I'll try to say something,
Yeah.
and then somebody else just continues speaking over me as if they're just not even acknowledging my presence.
Yeah.
And then that happened like 4 or 5 times.
You're starting to get a little upset.
Yeah, and I was starting to be like, why is everybody pretending like, what the fuck? Like, I'm fucking talking over here. Like,
Yeah.
why is everybody just talking over me and pretending like I don't exist?
Yeah.
And I said that, and then Chris
Should I
turns
take it
around.
from here?
Yes, please
Okay.
do.
So I'm in the circle. and I
That was
hear
funny, man.
behind me, like kind of distant, because it's really low. It's just like, what's up, man? What is it? And I turned around and I'm like, Arash? And he's looking at me and he's like, why is and he's still talking low too. He's like, why is everybody like ignoring me? And I'm like, dude, you're not in the circle. Like, you're not even in the conversation. You're like behind us, like in a corner.
And there's a door in front of you.
Yeah, and there's a door, like.
And I looked down and I realized I was probably a good 6 feet away.
Yeah,
from you
at
guys.
least a good 6 feet.
I was, it was not, as far as you guys were concerned, I was in another room on my phone.
Dude, your
thought
reality
I was
was
in the middle.
altered.
That was crazy.
Think about that.
No,
That's pretty crazy.
I completely felt like I was in the middle of the circle, and I remember after you said that, that's when I looked at the
Snapped
ground.
back, right?
And
Yeah, and I see you looking at me from over your shoulder,
Yeah.
6 feet away. Like, what are you talking about? You're not even here.
But you can hear their conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I was hearing it fine.
I know.
But I was speaking like a normal tone. But the fact that I was 6 feet away.
Are there any other shows that you've been too high on that come to mind?
No, I think I know that the shows that I have gotten high on, I generally have not been as happy with.
Yeah.
It just felt like it just kept going on and on for way too long.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, I am a real fan of the pens that have become so popular.
I want to get one of
G-Pens?
those. I want to get one of those.
Yeah, they're
Why did
awesome.
that come to mind? I know.
Well, because they give you they give me all the stuff that I enjoy about cannabis without all the other stuff like that, like that altered experience where I'm 6 feet away and I don't understand why I'm not part of the conversation. Okay, like that wouldn't happen if I got high with a vape pen.
Oh.
I'm
Why?
finding I don't know what it is. Like it's just like it's kind of like
Is
how
it
you
just a lower dose, you think?
possibly, but I mean I'll smoke like a bunch more too. Like I'll get high, but
Yeah.
I won't get out of focus. I'm still very aware of my surroundings, and I don't get as tired. I don't get as exhausted.
Yeah.
And you
How
know,
about
like,
hungry? Do you get hungry?
no, it doesn't give me the munchies the same way that smoking does. You know, like edibles.
Most experts would probably say that it's whatever you're smoke, not like the device.
Yeah.
It's the weed.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
That's
well, it's
most of the science would point to that.
It's how I mean, we do like when we do edibles versus smoking it. It's a different. It's a different thing
it
altogether.
turns into a different chemical compound because it
Right.
hits your stomach.
Right.
However, inhaling doesn't change. The chemical compound doesn't change.
Right.
So you're still inhaling it the same way. It just must be that you should look into whatever that is that you're smoking.
Yeah.
Because one thing that I've learned, I told you
I've done a few different pens.
Yeah.
Every one of them has been giving me the same experience.
Yeah,
It's really weird. Can't figure out what it is. Maybe
you
it's
gotta
being able to dose it better or something.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a couple of different pens.
You could just be getting high really slow though,
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Because I know I don't get high, and mind you, I haven't smoked like these. Because dude, there's G pens that are like, it's the top of the line weed. It's like designer weed. You know what I mean? And they're very expensive. So I've never smoked one of those. I'm sure that I'm assuming would have a different effect. But most of the G pens that I've smoked with like my friends and stuff, I just noticed that the weed seems a little weaker.
Yeah,
It comes on
does
slower.
Slower, yeah. I would agree with
Yeah,
slower.
that's true. I could probably get as high, but I'd have to smoke a lot more.
There's a different taste to it too.
Oh well, yeah, they're designed. That's the whole point of them.
Yeah, they're nice.
So do they add another chemical? that
Well,
you
yeah,
don't
there's
know?
at least a
they're
flavoring chemical.
Yeah, there's flavoring. I imagine it seems like it probably has less other things in it.
Dude,
right?
all it is watery. It's just wax in liquid form. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, and you guys know the wax. I mean, you know how you make wax. That's all it is.
I do. I made wax one day with bees.
All right.
With who?
With bees, man. We had bees.
Oh,
and we made
I
wax.
thought he said D's, and it was
Like these nuts.
yeah, these nuts. I'm like, wow, that's
So
really
you say you
good.
should have ran with that.
Yeah,
Damn, man.
that would have been great.
All right, dude.
This
So,
I'll get it in there one of these days.
so looking back on the year, Eddie,
yes.
some of the things that you're like the most thankful for this past year.
The most thing I would say my family, but when I mean my wife, I'm married now.
Yeah.
I got married, and then I have a son. He's 2 years old, and
Yeah.
there have been the biggest blessing I think in my life that has allowed me or has helped me in the journey of like transforming to be, I guess, maybe someone,
Like a better person.
a better person for sure. Yeah. And I work at it every day. So I think that was a good turning point.
Yeah.
Not that I thought that was the outcome, but it turned out to be
A blessing.
oh
in
yeah, for
disguise.
sure, man.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's one of the biggest things. And then, being able to, as far as family, be able to talk to, my family members and letting them know how I feel and when I disagree with them and all that stuff. I think that was part of my change in life. That
Becoming more expressive.
yes,
Yeah. I agree.
being able to talk right here. I mean, I think before I would get extremely nervous because I'm like, what if I say the wrong thing? What if whatever.
You still thought you could say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Like
now
that,
it just
that
doesn't
exists.
Yeah.
It doesn't even exist.
Yeah, it's a trip. Like every time I see Eddie, I'm tripped out by how happy he is.
Yeah.
It's like really just mind blowing every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I just got to work on this extra layer of
Of love.
that
that
I
you have
here.
around your stomach.
Yeah, that I gotta get rid of.
What a,
I went to the doctor, man.
You what?
I didn't tell you yet. I went and I.
you got high cholesterol.
No, I'm okay. Actually, I'm okay on blood levels and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But I did go ask them about the ADHD.
Oh, yeah.
So tomorrow I'm gonna call and get that set up.
Oh, yeah. Because he's been feeling like he has ADHD
Right.
for the
Yeah.
longest time.
Right.
And he's put more time and attention into it. And now he's at a point where he's decided to go get it checked out.
Yeah. that's
See what happens.
So, why did you not want to do that sooner? And I asked 'cause I was having a conversation yesterday with a friend of mine who also, like, he's fully aware that he has ADHD and he doesn't want to take pills.
For me, I think what it took long was, I guess I would say, accepting it. I mean, I just figured I've been doing all right, in my opinion, for whatever I was doing, and just said no, But like I said, this change of life with my wife and my son, like, it's like if I'm able to, if whatever has to take to make me concentrate more and enjoy them more and enjoy life and being able to focus on things, then let's do it. So I think it was just not accepting it, or even like, oh fuck, I gotta go to make an appointment, set up a doc. Like for me, that would mean like being lazy about it, or not even like, it was just not important.
Yeah.
And I think, now it is important to me because I
Right.
definitely, with life and everything, with school, I want to be, someone to be able to read something and be able to understand it completely and then explain it.
Why was it difficult for you to accept that was a thing? Did you feel like it would make you a lesser person if you had this thing that you had to fix? I always wonder about that because you're not the first person who's explained it that way. Like I've had this conversation with many people, and it's like you were saying right now about you're gonna work out a little bit more, right? And like get rid of your gut. Same thing. I picked up extra gut during the holidays. Like just a lot of us are gonna like get back into the gym a little bit better now. Why is it that when it comes to something like ADHD, people will think like they're not ready to accept that it's something that they should do? And like you dealt with it a little bit with some of your anxiety.
Yeah.
Like as soon as you kind of diagnose that it is a thing, I should go get medication. Like why wait? Why wait as long as you did?
Like I said, I mean, it was just the laziness, man. I mean, I wasn't afraid of it. I didn't really matter, like if someone,
Did you get it though? Did you know what it was?
No, I guess I didn't do enough research or anything, which is, that's one of my downfalls is not doing enough research on a lot of things.
Yeah.
So that was just something I didn't, read about it. I didn't even, I've heard it many times and I just, people talk about it here and there, but until I went on Google and typed it in, that's when I was like, oh, okay.
Which is kind of funny, by the way, because like desiring not to research it is actually kind of a symptom of it. It just felt like overwhelming.
Oh,
to
yeah,
have to, like
yeah.
sit there and read shit on Google. Like, I got to research it now. Like all of that just feels. So you get anxiety about even having to do that work, and that itself is.
Yeah, that's exactly what that was.
It's funny how it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Arash?
What about me as far as ADHD?
The one thing that you're like most thankful for this past year.
God, it's hard to say it's a one thing, but
Try.
yeah. It's I think having learned to be even more open, because what that's done is it's opened doors for multiple experiences and spiritual shifts and psychological shifts that I've had that I would not have been open to in an earlier chapter of my life.
Yeah.
I had a guest on Burner Podcast recently, and we had this one part of the conversation where we're talking about spirituality. He grew up atheist. And he said, and we were talking about how much power some of these spiritual sessions can have in helping shift you and open you up to certain experiences and make you stronger and better. And I was like, what is that? We just have to really believe. We have to open ourselves up to the possibility that there is some shit out there that mainstream science cannot explain just yet. And that's a hard thing for people to do. And he said, I think one morning I woke up and I decided to believe in magic. And I was like, that is an experience that I've had over the past couple of years. Is I decided to believe in magic, and it's opened up a lot of new experiences. I feel better. I feel more confident thanks to some
explain that for people though, who may not be anywhere near the path.
Well,
because you're talking like right now. You're talking to you're preaching to the choir, but there's probably people that are like, what the fuck are you talking?
Yeah.
What do you mean choosing what?
Yeah. No, you're right. Well, because the deeper you go down the rabbit hole, the harder it is to explain where you came from. Well, I can give you an example.
Okay.
I had a Tantra healing session recently, and so Tantra is a spiritual practice that predates Hinduism, and so a lot of the stuff that you hear about chakras and third eye and all this kind of stuff, that all comes from Tantra. Probably. We don't know though. It's so old, but we do know that there's cave paintings supposedly that have referenced the chakras. So it's ancient wisdom. And in modern day science and our modern day education, we tend to not pay a whole lot of attention to that. We're kind of dismissive of it. And even I was, until I had a chakra cleansing session with a friend of mine who is a Tantra practitioner. And basically the experience entailed her leading me through a guided meditation where I went inwards and I would, cleanse the chakras. And before that experience, I never even thought about it. I just would hear people talk about chakras and I go, oh, okay. Well, that's cool that that's your experience of the world, but it's not really mine. So I'm not paying any attention to it. And then I had this healing experience that opened me up and increased my confidence and focus, and I could feel, for lack of a better description, more connected to God, connected to spirit. And it was the trip that I had this experience without actually, because the biggest fear I think most people have is you already had a what's the word? You already had it in your head that this can work.
Sure.
So you made it happen for yourself. You convinced yourself that it's real.
Right.
I didn't actually know anything about it.
Yeah.
I went into it kind of blind. And then I had this guided meditation experience and I came out of it feeling holy shit, this stuff can work.
Yeah.
I think it can work because if you allow it to, if you put down your guard, and you allow yourself to catch the Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
Here's an example. When people do that in the Southern churches, they're on the floor.
Right.
There was a time where I would look at that and say, look at these batshit people.
Yeah.
Now I look at it, I'm like, oh, no. They're allowing spirits to enter their realm in whatever way makes sense to them.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that makes this other thing less real. It doesn't mean that this religion got it right and this religion got it wrong. It's just a matter of you being willing to allow yourself to let this other realm enter your consciousness.
Yeah.
It's okay to allow yourself to believe it. And I think people hold back from believing that because they're like, oh, well, you're not going to pull a fast one on me.
So for people
I know better.
So for people who this again, may be new to them, do you think, when they're trying to, if you had to describe yourself as, you're a spiritual being, that's a known thing. You're open about that. Are you more towards, I'm allowing these things to happen, or I'm creating this reality?
It's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And that's the part where it gets extra weird.
Yeah. You're trying to you're still working that out.
Right,
yeah.
And I think that's...
Because I just want people to, because people tend to think I have to be...
Right.
one of those. It's okay to say like I don't really know.
In fact, I would say that that's one of the most important lessons.
Yeah.
Is to be able to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
And to accept that. And I think all the religious practices actually are saying the same thing. And this is where we miss it as human beings living in a modern world with technology and television and goal-oriented culture.
Yeah.
Where like the thought is like, you're going to achieve nirvana. You will never achieve nirvana.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. You're aiming in that direction. And then that's where the lessons are. So, for example, with this podcast, like we've been doing this, 6 years? There isn't like a point where we're going to like be like, we made it.
Yeah.
This is the end of the line. Like we've achieved. It's not like a video game.
And a lot of people get into this business thinking that.
You're right. And no, it's not. It's you're on this path, and being on this path forces you to open up experiences. So my next goal that I've set for myself is I want to do pull-ups. I can't do any right now. Going through the process of doing pull-ups has taught me like it's working out different muscles. It's taught me more about my anatomy. It's gotten me more into this thing. There's all this stuff that comes out of setting a goal.
Yeah.
Eventually I'll do a pull-up. Then the next goal will be to do 2 pull-ups. So, even I think like, I'm sure our more Christian listeners can clarify this for me more, but like, I feel like the idea with Christianity is that you're trying to be more Christ-like.
Right.
You will not be Christ.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not meant to happen. You're still human, but you're trying to be as much of that as possible. Same thing with with everything. You set a goal, nirvana, you're trying to get there, and you accept that you're never going to really be there.
Yeah.
But you set that goal.
Yeah.
And that's life. I mean, that's never stops.
Yeah, that's deep, man.
Yeah, it's been a nice year, like making peace with that, like really understanding that life, like we keep thinking that life, like imagine if life is an ocean, right? Mm-hmm. And most of us are constantly trying to build dams around it to control it.
Yeah.
You can't control the ocean.
Yeah.
I've found that like the best thing to do is to learn how to surf.
Yeah.
So you're riding, like the ocean's going to move. Like you're not in charge of the ocean.
Yeah.
But the better you get at surfing, the more you can control which direction you're moving in the middle of all this chaos. And like, it's been pretty cool. Like things will manifest themselves, and like the old me would just be like, would look for ways to say no. But now I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm supposed to go this way.
Right.
Fuck it. Let's go try it out. I got a text from somebody I haven't heard from in a while, and they're saying, let's go grab dinner. And I just thought about their profession yesterday. I'm like, all right, let's go have dinner. Maybe there's something that I'm supposed to experience in this dinner.
Yeah.
And then it seems to like continue to unfold that way.
Yeah. So how much of it are you doing that to? Like, are you like, walking down the street? Oh, look at that bird over to the left. I'm supposed to go left. Like, like how much of it are you practicing?
I have a basic rule for myself. And the basic rule is that whatever I decide I'm going to do, I'm doing that thing.
And you decide, your decision comes from?
Like, let's say, friend texts me, you want to grab dinner. As soon as I decide, yes, we are grabbing dinner, I'm setting that date in the calendar for 8 p.m. Thursday. I'm going to be there 8 p.m. Thursday. So,
but what emotions, or have you figured out what emotions lead you to decide to do something yet? Like what's driving that, Like what is driving the majority of your decisions?
I think I'm having some level of structure in your life where like you set a general North Star. So like general North Star is this path that we're on. I'm continuing to create. I'm continuing to get more in touch with the artist inside. We have this podcast. We have the other podcast. We have Platform Collection. We have music videos. We have all these projects that we're working on, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately, the goal is I'm going to finish each one of these projects.
Yeah.
And no matter what other like shiny lights pop up, I'm not going to like cancel. Like I'm not going to cancel the release of an episode of Burner Podcast because a party came along Friday night.
Yeah.
So either I'm skipping the party, or even if I do the party, I'm going to have to be done by 2 a.m. so I can wake up the next day by 9. Like no matter what you do, you're sticking to that plan. Like that's a part of like what we experienced with Crappy Awesome is that we've had to drive to LA like every other weekend for however many years, right? And that's like a lot of nights. We had situations where I'm out with friends and at like 1 a.m. I'm like, all right, I got to go home. And everybody's like, well, what the fuck, man? Like we're about to head to this thing and this thing's happening. I'm like, yeah, I know. Got to go. Got to wake up tomorrow at 9 a.m. Got to get to work, And allow me to Mark Maron this real quick. Please.
The Mark Maron in me would say, because I know there's people probably listening going like, are you talking about responsibility.
Yeah, sure.
Like, you know what I mean? And tell people, because how people reach whatever they reach is on their own lives. You know what I mean? Like people, like not everybody grows up with a certain amount of love or hate in their family, or so everybody arrives to different places at a different times. And your journey to responsibility has been a spiritual one. Yeah, and that's I want people to understand that, because I think a lot of people think like, well, you know, had you just, you know, listened more or, you know, structured yourself more, but because of, and you've spoken about this on the show a lot, about living like an early sheltered life, you were dealing with getting out of the box before you could restructure again.
Yeah, I think I would say it's about understanding also that what responsibility most aligns with your highest self.
Yeah.
I think that's, so like people, a lot of our friends even, like we have a lot of friends, a lot of family, a lot of the world will continue to feel that they're being responsible by making sure they're getting to work every day.
Yes.
Monday through Friday, but like they fucking hate their job and they're miserable and they're hating every minute of it. And then they look at our lives, and we've had plenty of these conversations. They look at our lives, they're like, I wish I was doing what you're doing. And we're like, you can.
Yeah.
But you have to see it as the same way that you see your day job. And so those people would, and I know that because like my family, for example, my immediate family looks at what we're doing here and they see this as irresponsibility.
Sure.
They're like, this is not responsibility. You're you're not buying a house off of this podcast. So you're not being responsible.
Right.
You're being immature. You're being selfish. But the amount of spiritual doors and psychological doors that this has opened for me, the income far outweighs like buying a house.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go buy a house so I can throw parties in there. Great. Now what?
Yeah.
You know? So I guess that's what it is finding, I mean, even then though, responsibility, man, I don't know if this is just because I live in Southern California. I'm a little jaded about that because fuck, I said, when I set my plans to be there at 8 p.m. on Thursday, I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
Not so common in San Diego for people to follow through with things like that. Dates especially. Jesus.
Yeah.
It's been...
Yeah, I think it's... dude, I find it all... I like it all. I find super interesting. Like, I think this year it's going to be interesting to figure out... For you to figure out, like, what the... Like I said, what is the overall motivating factors? And how do I lessen it in a broad form and try to bring it... Try to zero it in more.
Right.
I think that's going to be really amazing to see, because you can already see that you are starting to do that. And I think that's like another one of those, just like like you keep sharpening that sword over and over again. And then it just starts getting pinpoint. Like, this is what I'm doing this and this and this is why. I know exactly why. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. So
you know, Naughty Boy was a guest on our podcast a while back, and
his name is Naughty Boy.
Yeah, you knew Naughty.
That's tight.
Naughty spelled with a K, like a knot.
Oh, Naughty Boy.
It's a Navy reference.
Oh wow.
He's a DJ, and you knew him. I think I told you this on the show. Like he used to be the manager at Honey Bee Hive. You guys performed.
Oh, okay, yeah. A club in San Diego.
Yeah. Naughty Boy was saying though, he's like, the cool thing about getting older is that you learn more and more what you don't want.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All you're doing is stripping shit away. Like, nah, I don't want that.
I agree with that.
Like, hey, let's go work. This club is going to be awesome. Nah, I don't want that.
Yeah.
This is so funny, dude. New Year's Eve, a group of our friends, like, I really just wanted New Year's Eve to chill. Which, by the way, we're recording this. What is it? New Year's Day was yesterday, right? New Year's Eve was the night before last night. I really just wanted like a house party with friends. I really just want to be around my close friends. Like, I don't want to be at a fucking club. I don't want to deal with cabs and downtown and all this bullshit. Right? And I commit that I'm going to this party in South Park at a friend's.
Yeah.
And some of our circles start getting distracted by like other things that are popping up. Like, ooh, this party is going to have casino tables and it's going to have this. And like, then they start like buying tickets to events and shit. I'm like, nah, I'm sticking to this.
Yeah.
And I had people saying like, you should come with us. I'm like, nope, I'm sticking to this party. I already made that decision. I've done this enough times.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, by like 11 p.m., all these different friends came from different parties to that same party that I was at. They're like, oh God, we should have just been here all night. I'm like, yeah. Because as you get older, you learn like, oh, there's always going to be shiny lights. There's always going to be like, you see like girls on the flyer and you're like, oh, I want to go to that party. But as you get older, you're like, no, it could just be me and my closest homies at a dive bar, and we will have more fun than we would have at the biggest nightclub. And it's pretty cool to like feel very confident in that knowledge at this point.
Yeah.
And that is something you get as you get older.
Huh.
This has been fun. What's your most grateful thing?
2016. This year kind of I flew by. It flew by for me. I was thinking about it on New Year's Eve when I saw people posting. There's the like people like to make holiday statements.
Yeah.
It's a social media thing, and
fuck you, 2016.
A lot of that, right?
Enough of that.
I didn't. 2016 wasn't bad for me.
No.
It was. In fact, it was really positive.
Me too.
Like career-wise, I'm like exactly where I want to be right now. Because, and I feel confident in saying that because I know this is the most knowledge that I've had on my crafts and businesses. Like it's the most knowledge I've ever had. And when I evaluate myself and I evaluate what we're doing business-wise, it's right where it needs to be.
Right.
And I'm confident in that. You know what I mean? So that's a big deal. And I think that really grew strong this year. But I guess that affects a bunch of people. So I would say personally, I think like dealing with depression, feeling for the first time in my life that I feel very balanced,
right,
emotionally.
I would agree with that.
I always feel kind of zen. You know what I mean? Like there's definitely things that frustrate me or whatever, like with anybody. But it's just the way I deal with it now. None of my emotions are like long term. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like
that's a big thing. So I don't constantly for people who deal with depression, for me, it's a physiological thing, and then couple that with just trauma that everybody has. You know what I mean? And the way we consume that trauma and interpret it. That all can result in a lot of different things. For me, it resulted in depression.
Yeah.
So I think being able to become okay with the two parts of me that can control a lot of different projects at one time and seem perfect at it and seem under control, and then also knowing that there's this part of me that's not always under control, and just being okay with that. Like, oh, these are the two parts of me. I'm not trying to cover up one or the other, because the way depression affects me doesn't stop me from being proficient or prolific, because I do both of those things, and depression has nothing to do with those things. That it just doesn't affect me that way.
Right.
And that's like one of the things like I've definitely learned about, like just people dealing with emotional things. I mean, I'm hearing, I heard everything you said, and I was just like, I just think it's beautiful. Like, I'm like, that's super dope, but it's a snowflake. Yeah. Without a doubt. Like you've reached your point of maturity completely different than I have, so the same exact experiences, we can share the same exact experiences, and we're not going to have the same results.
Right.
It's just not going to be there because there's major character factors that developed at different times, and that's true with everybody. And I think that if you walk around the world thinking that way, it just makes the world a little smoother. Right. It doesn't make things perfect. Right. There's always going to be danger, and you're going to be afraid of stuff and nervousness. All that shit's there. It's always going to be there. It's just, you got to just try to chip away at the things that, one, are the most realistic things to chip away. I've learned that about, just being realistic. That is my approach personally with friends, and my approach with business is be logical and be realistic. And
Just because something's ideal and you could pull it off, it doesn't mean it's going to be able to be pulled off by a bunch of people.
Or just because you think something is the greatest thing ever,
right,
doesn't mean that I have to too. You know, like you think it's great because of your journey. You know what I mean? Like that's just the way it is. And I think with Platform Collection, we've been able to connect with a large group of very honest people. And so from my standpoint, what honesty has gotten me is more honest people. And those tend to be the people that like I want to be around a lot. It's easy to not be depressed when you're around people like that.
Absolutely.
So, I think that's what I'm the most thankful for, like really coming to grips with, and being okay with, hey, there's something physiologically wrong with me. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, I take some meds and it make me feel better.
Yeah, we all have some things physiologically wrong with us.
It is what it is.
Nobody came out of the oven perfect.
Yeah.
It's funny because I when I look at you for 2016, the thing that stands out to me the most is your photography.
Yeah.
And how you've blossomed there.
Yeah.
And I thought about that and I thought like, oh, you know what? You also have absolutely blossomed quite a bit as an MC, as a lyricist, as a song maker, you know, in all of your art, really. You're trying to figure out where to press the button.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Like I wonder, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm kind of like reading. You're saying like that you being able to embrace the depression, you weren't paying as much attention to it. Same with your anxiety.
Yeah.
In the past, because you've always been able to power through.
Yes.
And continue doing things. Right. Now, I remember. I don't know if we actually had these conversations. I want to say we did have conversations years ago where like I had said to you that I think like you can still continue to blossom more, but because you power through them, you're not losing yourself in creating the art as much.
Yeah.
Whereas like that, I was doing that because I had like the structure that you guys had built around me. I was free to do that.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that I could see you doing more of that, but you weren't. You were still like so much more thinking about responsibility and how to keep the ship moving forward. And so like you would make songs that were like fucking hits. But you know, they didn't really have a soul. They were kind of pop.
They weren't me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, dude. Like
whereas like now it's all feeding each other.
I don't
the photography's feeding each other,
yeah.
The music's feeding, like all of your art has blossomed. And maybe part of it has been paying attention to depression.
Yeah, and I think and I want people to understand this. I don't stray away from pop at all.
Yeah.
I fucking love pop. Like
yeah.
I'm not
I wasn't using pop as a bad.
Yeah, no, I just don't want people to think that, you know. But
right. But the songs were factory.
They weren't for me. I can tell you right now, like they weren't for me. They were for. I think I was making music to make the people that I hung out with feel more comfortable.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it was like because I wasn't. There was a way that I came up in hip hop. And then my current social circle at that time was I was going out, I was partying a lot, I was drinking a lot.
Yeah.
So the music came from that place, you know, and that was I don't know if I was conscious of that, you know. Yeah. I kind of felt like that was the wave that I was on. But me being able to come to grips with who I am. For me, it's reflective in the music right now for sure.
Yeah.
But it's the most personal shit. You know what I mean? Like that's for sure that I'm making. And I don't know how that translates to a fan base.
Yeah.
You know, I know that in that area, this has been the best year. But I also know like, because that's the thing, like I don't want people, it's very important for me that people understand that me not making the choice to deal with depression that I knew was kind of there or kind of lingering, or even because for me it manifested itself in health issues. Mm-hmm. I was starting to get really tired. I passed out a couple times. You guys remember? Yeah. And I didn't know what it was, and it was attack anxiety brought on by stress and trauma. Mm-hmm. But would I go back and do the same thing again? Yeah. This is why, because I don't. For everybody, it's different. For everybody, what you decide is right is up to you. Like for me, I have always had an interest and a knowledge of leadership and knowing what comes with that. And how a lot of the times you have to sacrifice things in yourself. A lot of people will go, well, you don't have to do that. You know, like that's what's the point? Blah, blah, blah. That's fine. The way I learned it, though, was that sometimes the train can't stop because no one person is bigger than the whole. And if I knew one thing I did know myself, and one thing that I've always known myself is how strong I am.
Right.
So if I knew that I could take it, then I was willing to take it and put it off to the side to get everything to where it needs to be. And one of the ways that I've come to like really back up that feeling is look around now. The company, like Platform Collection, my music, a lot of it's pretty much automated at this point.
Right.
But it took a long time to work and get that infrastructure there. Now I can sit back. Now I can go, okay, well, now where am I artistically? Because I've grown through this. And that shit made it grow. That shit, all that shit I went through is what you hear now. So for me, it wasn't a matter of, it wasn't a negative.
Yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I mean? Like, it wasn't a negative that I was putting off. I knew I was putting it off. And I knew that there was some sacrifice that was going to need to be made completely on my part. Nobody was asking me to do that. You weren't going like, dude, come on, man. Like, keep working so that we can do this. You never did that. You know what I mean? Like, none of my friends did that. I put that on myself. But I put it on myself. And that's what I wanted to do. And so when I look back at it, I see the times where like, yeah, that was this emotion coming out, or, you know, this repressed thing. But fuck, look at the scoreboard. I mean, I keep just going that way. Like, look at the scoreboard. And to me, that's very logical. You know what I mean? Because I feel like a lot of times, and I've seen this along the path, is that people's self-help, reconstruction of self, discovering self becomes a religion in their lives it's about as effective as any other religion at certain points.
Absolutely.
Because it starts to become you're basing every single thing on what makes me feel better. And my biggest lesson came from going through a period of time of what is better for everybody else.
Right.
And that was a very valuable lesson that I keep with me today. So now, to me, it's a matter of just it's a stick shift.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I might have to be in first gear right now, and first gear means I'm not gonna get to my meditation today because I got to get this meeting, and this meeting. I am not gonna put the brakes on any of that because my personal goal is to have a working company. You know, that is my goal. That's what makes me happy. That's what I want to do. But I can't. So, and that structure is set up. You have to be disciplined. You have to be about it all the fucking time. You have to devote a large part of your heart and your mentality into doing this job that we do in order to get the results that I want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so at the end of the day, I think 2016 for me was about like I felt like I was finally playing ball. Like, okay, I've been practicing and they let me hit every once in a while, but now now I'm playing. I'm applying it all. And so far, so good. Yeah. You know? I haven't really run into any bumps this year. I thought that's really cool. My friends are all healthy.
You got a new dog.
I got a new dog, which is one of the highlights of my life. By the way, a little trick, if you are a very self-consumed person, get a dog. It changes it overnight.
Yeah.
Overnight, you're like, fuck, I can't. There's this thing that actually depends on you, you know? So, and it changes your perspective, you know, on a lot of things. It's, you know.
So I had a friend of mine who she had her DMT experience.
Yeah.
And she'd been going through this process of like feeling anger afterwards, which sounds familiar to Eddie. Like she was just really angry about a lot of things, angry about some of the way that her life had passed. And she's wasted all this time. And I was telling her kind of like on the note of what you're describing, like, I'm like, no, none of it was a waste of time. None of it is a regret. Everything you went through brought you to where you are.
Yeah.
You needed to go through life trying to be, satisfactory to your culture, to your family. You got married, you had a kid, the marriage didn't work out, but like everything you went through, all the work you've done. Oh, and here's like the interesting thing about her situation. She is a scientist and works for like these companies that do like food flavors.
Okay.
So
she makes Red Number 9?
She makes Red Number 9.
Holy shit, I'm a big fan. I love it in most of my food.
She it's funny though, but like she herself like shops only organic stuff, only feeds her kids like healthy.
She knows better.
Yeah. She's like, I don't eat anything out of a can.
Yeah.
And I remember we'd have these discussions. I'm like, but how do you feel about that? This is how you're making your money. Are you okay with that? And she used to be like, oh, I don't know. Like, ultimately, we're helping people, whatever. Like, she still was like having those thoughts, like justifying it.
Well, that's what they're training her.
You're right, right.
To say.
And then she had DMT, and then afterwards she's like, I've been fucking working for these fucking people. Like, so now she's just angry about all this experience.
Oh, that's rough, man.
But
what is her name?
Her name is Anna.
Anna, if you're listening, here's just I have a little suggestion. You don't know me. You don't have to take. You could be like, shut the fuck up. Steve. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're working there because you have kids.
Yeah.
And they need to eat.
Yeah.
And you need to eat, and it's better off that you have something like that until you can find your way out.
Yeah. No, that's what I was telling her is. But you see, like what she has is years of experience now in these companies. Those experiences aren't going anywhere. Now they're all in her utility belt. Like she has all these tools and all this network and all this stuff that somebody who let's say like from childhood immediately knew that they would never want to work for a food coloring company.
Yeah.
Would not have those experiences.
Yeah.
So I even said, you know what? Know your enemy. Like you know what's going on over there. So now the next path that you're going to take, you're going to utilize all of those experiences in a manner that somebody else would not have access to.
Oh, so she's like thinking about going like completely anti all that stuff?
Yeah, well, she's taking the steps. She's getting more experience in some different scientific fields. She's developing more passion for
her,
like
man.
like things that like psychedelics
she's
can
winning.
do. Yeah,
she's winning. Tell her she's winning.
She is.
Not to sweat it.
She is. Yeah. But it's just kind of like on the note of what you're saying. Like it's you go through the other thing because you got to go through it, and then that leaves you to done things. So none of it is a waste of time. None of it is a regret. Everything we go through brings us to where we are.
Yeah.
And to me, like that's immediately the way that I look at somebody, and I just feel like so sorry for them is when they feel like things in their life have been a waste of time.
Yeah.
Like girls that talk about like, oh, I wasted 3 years with that guy. I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah.
You got nothing out of that? Oh,
yeah.
That's a shitty way to look at the world.
Yeah, it's weird, man. I was thinking about before the show, like what are some of the things that I've noticed in like artistically, like in the circles that we like people that have been on the show, that those scenes in the underground hip hop scene. And what artists have applied like the most visible like changes to like their career path and stuff. And one of the things that I definitely like learned this year from like a business standpoint, actually not even that, like artistically as well, because I do feel that there's an art to this. And I feel if you're an artist, say you're a rapper somewhere, producer, DJ, and you're like, I'm about the art. I'd like to get paid off of this stuff, but I'm about the art. There is a way to do that correctly. At least I believe so. You must understand, though. You have to understand that the moment you say, I want to get paid, it's tainted a little bit.
Yeah.
It just is. But I don't know who... This is what I'm going to say. I'm willing to bet it was a non-talented person who said that first.
Yeah.
Because if you can't make money off of the thing that you're making, like your contribution to the world, it's not your fault that things cost money.
Yeah.
That is the system that is set up.
Yeah.
There's a person who really knows how to lay cement, and they did the front of your house, Arash, and it looks amazing. Yeah. That guy gets paid for that. If you make beautiful music that people have to have as a part of their lives and love that, it's the same contribution. It is exactly the same contribution to someone
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be to everybody. So if you look at it from that standpoint, I think that one of the lessons that hip hop could learn this year was that it's okay, one, to take yourself serious. Take yourself serious. But understand that it's you taking yourself serious, and that's enough. You don't have to shout for everybody else to take you serious. And one of the ways for you to take yourself serious is to do what Arash's friend Anna is doing. You might not, I don't want to make money off my art, blah, 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 but you're starving and it's hard for you to get money and you're not making rent and blah, blah, blah. I would look at that and go, you probably have to put more thought creatively and work a little harder than you are at applying yourself to a business side. Right. You know what I mean? Because I think you can do that creative. Most of the time when I hear people complain about not wanting to do the business side or not understanding the business side, it's most of the time, Arash, out of laziness.
Yeah. It's well, here's what I think it is. I think it's they have a rigid idea of what that business model is supposed to be. Yeah. So, trying to think of an example. Okay, I had this photographer friend, for example, I reached out to, and she has shot like billboards for VH1. Yeah. Like, I mean, she got paid when she was doing some of those major shoots. And then the industry changed. And now there's a lot more photographers out there, and there's a lot more competition, and there's a lot less money being thrown around. They used to spend a lot more money on things like that. And she's like super angry and bitter. Yeah. You know, and I'm like, all right, well, it's about switching paradigms now. Like, you're not going to get paid the same way.
Yeah, you can't force that on the industry.
Yeah. And like and to me, like, that reminded me of like so many musicians that we've known over the years that have been having had very frustrated journeys because they have set in their heads that they're supposed to do music until a major label sees them and signs them, and then they're just going to get paid and taken care of. Yeah. And then, like, I was talking to, like, producers about this. I'm like, yeah, well, that industry just doesn't exist that way anymore. So if you're going to need to make money, you're going to have to find different ways to do it. Yeah. Like, a great example of that is Curtis King.
Say that again, by the way.
What?
That industry just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. No.
Like, even you're saying it as a very matter of fact, but people probably, like, they really need to take that concept in. Because a lot of the stuff they're trying is literally for an industry or part of the industry that literally doesn't exist.
It's long gone. Yeah. Like, remember how big the A&R departments used to be? Yeah. They used to be like an entire department.
There are no A&R departments anymore.
How many A&R people do we know that like started whole new careers after that? Yeah. Personally.
All of them.
Yeah. Like, it's just the job that just doesn't exist anymore. Our friends there was a band called Republic of Letters that was pretty big in San Diego for a while. Like, they're saying I think basically word got back to them, like, the exact numbers that they needed of Twitter followers and YouTube views in order to even get a meeting with Sony. Wow. Sony, like, they're not interested in your product unless you've already done that. Right. Whereas, like, A&R used to be that we find you, you have talent, let's build your Twitter, let's build your this. Yeah. Let's
we polish you.
Yeah. No, it doesn't exist anymore.
That doesn't exist anymore. And you have to do that for yourself.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like,
And Curtis King, just to clarify, for example, like, he was the one that said, like, you have to look for he goes for 7 sources of income. So, like, he does, like, coaching and classes. And he sells products through his brand. Like, he does a lot of different kinds of work. Yeah. In order to get the money in. And he's not relying on just selling music.
No. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, in doing that, I think there's people out there that will look at Curtis and go, well, he's sacrificing something. They have to think that something is bad about that. Right. Because he's not just rapping. So he can't love rap like I love rap because he's doing all these other things. Well, I would venture to say that you are too, except none of them have to do with your career. Yeah. You're doing a bunch of other shit. You're going out with girls. You're, working 2 jobs. You're doing, you're going skateboarding on the weekends. You're doing whatever it is. I bet you're doing 7 other things that you can literally apply to 7 things for your career. Mm-hmm. And you'd be way better off. Mm-hmm. But somehow you've injected, and this is the thing, I've always said this. I think the people that are against the business side of art but still want to have some kind of money stream coming from, I don't know where, the magical tree or something. Dude, they just, they got to you guys.
Yeah.
You don't understand. Like, that's the oldest trick in the book.
They need you to believe that that's the only way to do it because that's how their business continues to exist.
Exactly. Yeah. Earning is bad.
Yeah.
You shouldn't earn because that's selling out.
Yeah.
Think about that concept. It makes no sense. You provide a service. You should be paid fairly for your service. The shinier you make your service look, the more professional, the nicer, all those things. I probably want to spend a little bit more on that. Just like with any other product that I have. Any other thing that I invite into my life, I have to weigh it against possibly giving up something else. So if I'm consuming a bunch of artists on YouTube, I don't have time for all of them. In fact, the ones I have, a couple of them are probably going to get replaced by some of these new artists that I want to listen to. What makes you one of those? What makes you worthy of being one of those in everybody's lives?
Yeah.
Because that's what you're asking for. Otherwise, you don't put. Why are you putting music out? I just want the world to hear it. Well, they're not going to. You're not even helping them. You're being a dick by not sharing that because you don't want to sell out to who? Who's your boss?
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of us got into this business because we don't like bosses. I don't have any bosses. I don't listen to anybody. There's no rules for me.
Yeah.
Nobody comes in and goes, hey, I like that song, but you got to change that one little. No, nobody does any of those things. Every single idea that I want to put out and chase, I just do that.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest jump, I think, for people to make.
Totally.
Because it's, we both had to make it, and it's scary.
Does it feel like, though, in 2016, there's definitely been more of us that are taking a jump now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, maybe, or maybe, like our reach has gotten bigger. Their reach has gotten bigger, so we just know about them more.
Yeah.
Dude, you know what I did the other day? You got to try this, by the way, on a lighter note. Take some acid.
Okay.
And then watch, there's a live stream of the world, right? From the space study. No, I'm just telling you because you're willing to go that way.
Wow, you took acid.
Yeah. I'm tailor making it for you.
Yeah.
But there's a live stream.
Every recommendation Arash ever gets, just start with that. All right, take some acid, go to Trader Joe's, get some chocolate chip cookies.
There's a live stream from the International Space Station of the Earth on YouTube.
Okay.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
Do you know how amazing that is?
Yeah.
I mean, really think about that.
Yeah.
There's a camera in space that is showing us on the planet spinning in space, just out in space. And then I immediately, I almost started laughing out loud.
You LOL'd?
Yeah, I almost LOL'd when I had the brief thought of...
Did you LMAO?
Wondering if everybody's going to like my art. What? That's so fucking dumb.
Right.
Do you know how many people are on you're never going to see all the people.
Yeah.
You're never going to know all the people.
Yeah.
Most of the people don't follow you on Twitter. They don't.
They're in a whole different world themselves.
Dude, there's none of us, like, until you really, again, I would think that until, and this is the closest thing to it. This is why I think it's so awesome. Because up until I started watching this thing all the time, the only way you could really notice the magnitude of the planet that we live on is to be in space and look at it.
Yeah.
It's the only way you're ever really going to know how tiny you really are.
Mm-hmm.
That you're super, super tiny. And if you're worrying about what other people think about what the fuck you're doing, you're crazy. You're never going to make these people happy.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, Arash, I was going to talk to you about this. Do you remember back in the day, we had this conversation about like being at a party and there'd be like a guy who would walk in and he's just like the mean mug.
Yeah.
And the energy just changes, right? Well, take that same kind of feeling, right? And just apply it to, like, I'm sure you have friends that are, I don't know, concerned about being macho or concerned about, they're just those guys that are like they're very, how would you say, imposing.
Yeah.
They feel like they need to be.
Yeah.
And I thought about that concept, and I'm like, in hip hop, it would be you guys trying to act hard. But what a fucking insane thought to like, because you're like, well, because most people's argument will be like, yo, because you got to get, you see it on Instagram, you got to get your own back because nobody gives a fuck about what you do. Or, you know what I mean? The only bitch you can fucking depend on is yourself, you know? That's so fucking stupid. Like, that's so dumb. Like, because if you are the type of person that can only depend on themselves, you fucked up somewhere. That's your fault.
Yeah.
Something's wrong with you. That if the only people around you, you can't trust any of them, and you can only trust yourself, I'd venture to say you kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
And if you do have like good friends and you still want to be like the coolest guy in the group, that's insane.
Yeah.
You don't really like those people. You know what I mean? If you feel like you got to be the coolest person in the room, you don't like any of the people in that room.
Yeah.
You just don't.
I don't like you guys.
Because that's stupid.
I don't blame you.
Don't worry, Eddie.
Yeah.
You'll never be the coolest guy.
What?
Yeah, it's obvious. Arash is.
Obviously. Look at my hair.
Look at his hair.
It's
Yes, there.
it is when we were I was just looking, I was trying to find that quote, like Carl Sagan quote where it's talking about you're just a speck of stardust.
Yeah.
That's the interesting thing is that like it can completely come full circle. Like it can come back so much full circle that you think you are so unique and so special that you're not going to actually, like you are. And it is, and that whole thing is a shield.
Yeah.
It's this, armor to put on to protect yourself, to feel more special.
That's a good way to put it. A shield.
Man, I was trying to find, I had this thing that I shared, like interesting stuff that had happened in 2016 specifically. By the way, I think here's the quote.
Did you find it?
No.
Well, he's looking for that.
Okay.
Eddie.
Yeah.
You give me one thing that you think hip hop, after going through 2016, hip hop could have learned, or they should have learned, or they need to learn.
One thing let me see what they should have learned.
Yeah, get your shit together.
Something they need to learn.
Fuck, man.
Things you saw along the way that could be better.
I think maybe just accepting whatever they're making as like that's their art and being open with it as far as like not maybe worrying about like criticisms or worrying about like he said she said thing or whatever about their stuff. But I think with that, like you had mentioned, I think I mean if I look at it, I'm looking at it and I look at them and I look at you and I'm like your level of understanding is just it's beyond that. I think that's where sometimes we look at that and then I'm like, oh, they're kind of like they're just not there yet, or or they get trapped in that.
Yeah. It's definitely a trap.
Yeah.
It's definitely. I say all that to say that it's people going through that and feeling those ways. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that, and that's what I'm saying. Like most of the time, it's like me shaking my friend and going, "What are you? Stop doing that! What are you doing? Stop doing that!"
Yeah.
But you can't save everybody.
I think at the same time, I've made peace with. Yeah, exactly that. Like you can't save them. They need to come to it on their own.
Peace.
Yeah.
I feel like you know what? We had this conversation. I remember specifically having this interaction when we had Reverie on the show. And I always remember like her response to it because I remember it was one of those moments of like when you connect with somebody, you're like, this person completely understands what I'm describing. It's that the further you go on your path, and whether that's like an artistic journey or a professional journey or a spiritual journey, the more you know something, the less you're interested in explaining it to other people.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like describing that from a spiritual angle, and Reverie
true.
was like nodding yes, and like she's of course hit that so much earlier in her life than most the rest of us.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to see that, like to have that moment for somebody else. Like, yeah, that's what it is. Like the further you go, the less you care about trying to sell people on it.
Right, because I think the whole process of selling, like selling your emotions to somebody else, is very
trying to convince yourself.
Yeah, you're trying to convince yourself, but it's you being imposing.
Yeah.
You're imposing your energy on this person who didn't ask for that. You know what I mean? Like you don't know where they're at.
Yeah.
Eddie said something really I thought was brilliant the other day. Him and I were talking about just going through the process, and he had said something, and I was like, "Yo, here's my 2 cents on it. This is what I think about it. And he's like, that's cool, man. He's like, I'll take those ideas and see if they fit in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that's fucking dope. Like, that is the way I think you have to look at shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm open to hear everything because there might be something there I need, but maybe not.
But it has to align with me as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the word he used.
Yeah.
It has to align with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And because again, an answer for you is not necessarily an answer for me. You know?
Yeah, there's a list that I shared. That was the list that I shared. It was 99 amazing things that happened in 2016. Because, like, everybody, like, really jumped into the whole
Everybody's going like,
2016.
holy fuck, he's going to read 99 things.
Yeah, I'm going to read all 99. No, go to
Strap
Medium.
in for the next 4 hours, people. Give me a couple.
Google medium.com 99
I love
things.
Medium.
Yeah, so it's on there. Let's see. The World Health Organization released a report showing that since the year 2000, global malaria deaths have declined by 60%.
All right. That's a good one.
It's huge.
That's a good one.
The thing is, we have all this huge stuff that happens and nobody pays attention to it because
Yeah.
it doesn't sound as sexy to put a hashtag on it.
Plus, it doesn't happen here.
Right.
So
We're not worried about malaria, so
No.
fuck it.
Yeah.
But it was a good thing.
Let's see what we got here. A new study from the world's leading health journal reported that the number of women dying from pregnancy and childbirth has almost halved since 1990.
Wow.
That's like,
I don't know if that.
it's pretty huge.
I almost said something bad right now.
Oh, really? Fresh evidence showed that public smoking bans have improved health in 21 nations.
I believe that.
Yeah. Because it's such a pain in the ass to have to, like, run downstairs and go down the parking lot,
Anything
go around
on
the corner.
Uber or Lyft? Like, have they saved lives? I want to see the numbers on it. I kind of believe it's the same outcome, right, as the public smoking thing.
This one was really interesting. Check this out. Mobile phones made significant inroads in the fight against rabies, a disease which kills more people annually than all terrorists combined.
Wait, say that. Okay, what did mobile phones do?
That's when you got to get into the article. It's from Ars Technica. But being able to track, like, rabies, and attacking
And
the
it's killed
disease
that many
where it
people.
is.
I would think that's, again,
Rabies kills more people in the world than all terrorists combined.
our country is in the minority of countries where animals run freely.
Yeah.
Right? There's many countries where there's a lot of different types of animals that run freely.
Yeah. Cats are, like, everywhere in, like, the Middle East.
Yeah, we don't have anything.
No. They're all on leashes.
Yeah. And if we see them, we shoot them.
Yeah.
They make good eats.
Let's see here. We got there's a lot of good stuff here. Talk about something else while I come up with another good one.
I wanted to hear your advice.
You were asking about Uber, though, right?
Yeah, I wanted to hear your advice, though, to hip hop.
God, there was a really good one here. Oh, this one, I don't remember which number it is, but you guys can look up this whole list and find it. But one of my favorites also was that ISIS has very quietly started changing their message to their followers.
Yeah.
Preparing for the eventual collapse of ISIS. Like, they used to talk about it in terms
So they're pulling a Trump.
Yeah. They're like, I'm just changing their words a little bit.
It's fixed.
It's fixed. Yeah. No, they're already, like, saying, like, they may run us into the desert, but we're going to continue. And then, like, I think some people have read it and been like, wait, huh? They might run us into the desert.
Yeah. Wait a minute. You said we were gonna sit on the White House.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. No, they've already started changing their verbiage, preparing for what they are seeing as the eventual downfall of
You know
ISIS.
who I feel bad for in that situation? Is all the like the young couple ISIS people who've already bought houses in, like, nice Hollywood areas. Now they have to fucking sell that property.
Oh, they got, like, ISIS rims waiting in their ISIS cars.
Dude, not cool.
Terrible.
Not cool. You got to plan more. So your advice for hip hop after this year?
After 2016?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's a tough one. I don't know. To me, it really feels like hip hop is on the right track.
Okay.
I would, if I had the power of God and I could just, like, click a button and change this right away, this is what I would do. I am.
Yeah.
Bow before me. I would take, like, so in the Burning Man community, we've talked about this. Like, they're really supportive of creating art.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons for that, Eddie and I were talking about this the other day over brunch. Like, one of the reasons for that is the removal of money as a factor.
Yeah.
And it is a duocracy. You go to Burning Man, there's all these people, like, busting their ass to bring cool shit just because they want to bring cool shit. And
Yeah.
they're not getting paid for it. It's just because like they came last year and they saw like, hey,
Cool shit.
Yeah, like people, this other camp brought an amazing bar, and this other camp brought like a grilled cheese restaurant. And I'm like, oh, you know what was missing? It'd be cool if like there was water on the street. And then like, so the next year they come back and they give out free water, you know?
Yeah.
And that same culture exists like, you know, outside of Burning Man as well, when we're out here in what we call the default world, normal world we all live in. You know, when I do some sort of a project or if I share a post, I get a lot of support from people in the Burning Man community. Mostly the general response is like, yeah, that's fucking awesome. Do that.
Yeah.
You know, they'll like your update. They'll share your video. They'll message one of their friends. Like they, some sort of photography article comes up and they'll tag me on it. Like, hey, Arash, you'd find this interesting.
Yeah.
Things like that. I would love to see more of that in hip hop.
Yeah.
Because, man, there's a dramatic difference. I have just as many friends on social media that are active in the hip hop scene that are active in the Burning Man scene. But when I post something about Burning Man, it's tons of likes and shares and connections and comments. Hip hop, very little.
Yeah.
The hip hop threads that I see, and mind you, we've talked so much about how positive generally hip hop is these days.
Yeah.
So that's still our world. It's awesome that exists.
Yeah, yeah.
However, if you were to just read like the online debates, I'm not sure if you'd come to that conclusion.
Right.
Because the posts that I see that get the most interaction and responses
the
are
train
still the
wrecks.
angry ones.
Yeah.
It's still somebody saying like, hey, this rapper's whack, right? And then like a bunch of people start coming. And mind you, by the way, not everybody's saying, yeah, this rapper's whack.
Yeah.
Like it'll be like people joking too. It'll be
Both
people
sides
commenting.
represented, yeah.
And or people are just like using it as a jump off point to like
For a
be
joke.
smart ass. Yeah, exactly. Like be funny. But you put up just like, yo, here's a new episode. Check this out. This is what we talked about. Not that much of a response.
Yeah.
And I know it's not you. I know you guys are reading it because we talk about it in person.
Yeah.
But for whatever reasons, hip hop still has that thing where like it's the social media equivalent of like that guy that's standing in the back of the room with his arms crossed and he's not giving you any props.
Yeah.
And then after the show's over, he's like, yo, that was dope. I'm going to buy that t-shirt. I'm going to buy that CD. Like, uncross your arms.
Stop trying to be cool.
Stop trying to be like, just let it. It's cool. Like, let's
Yeah.
support each other. Let's push each other forward. I'm telling you, like, there is such a vast variety of art and music that's being put out there these days and videos. None of us are in competition with each other over the same
Right.
shit anymore. We're just not.
Yeah.
There is no fucking way that somebody who is listening to, you know, I don't know, like a KILLcRey
Yeah.
is like listening and saying like, oh, you know, I'm going to download this track. I'm going to pay for this thing, right? Fuck, I was going to download that other Mickey Vale track, but now I'm not gonna because I already spent it on KILLcRey.
Yeah. And now I've forgotten about
Yeah.
that track forever.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Like either they want both or it's somebody who's going to be super into like Mickey's style of music, but you know, not
Yeah.
in the KILLcRey style of music. And there's 7 billion people on the planet.
7 billion.
We are not in competition with each other. And it's
see
like
it from space.
more of us could just like support each other more in social media, like, share that shit. It'd be dope.
Yeah.
And like, I got to tell you, like, it does feel, and the crab in a buckets thing is a little, you know, it's a little excessively used at this point.
Right.
But, it does feel, here's an example. Like, have you ever like hung out with a really cheap person?
Yes.
Yeah.
You hang out with a cheap person, right? And you find Eddie just gestured to Chris.
No, to myself.
What?
Okay.
To myself.
That is kind of cheap.
This went south.
Yeah.
You hang out with a cheap person. The most irritating thing about hanging out with a cheap person is that little by little you find yourself being cheap. So I'm like, oh, this is fucking bullshit.
It
Like,
overtook you?
yeah, little by little. I'm like, wait,
It affected you.
why am I always the one that's like covering the extra tip when we
Yeah.
sit down to dinner?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
this
yeah.
is annoying. Like,
Because you have to be defensive.
Right.
Yeah. Or you'll be taken advantage.
right.
Yeah.
And to me, when I've had that experience, it's happened over time because I'm
Yeah.
not a cheap person, I don't think.
Yeah.
But like, I'll be with a person enough times, and little by little, I'll find myself doing that. And after I'm like, oh, I just feel gross right now.
Yeah.
I feel gross that I have to think about that. And I kind of feel that way in like social media when we're dealing with the hip hop world.
Yeah.
People are not as interactive. They're not as sharing. So I find myself sharing less.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not because I don't want to. Like it'd be dope. Like I'd love to. Like it'd be dope
because it's not popping right there.
Yeah, it's not popping. And like all of a sudden, my feed is being populated. My Facebook, my Twitter, whatever other social media platforms I'm on, is being populated with me sharing other people's shit.
Yeah.
Without anybody commenting or liking that.
Yeah.
And that just makes me look bad.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes it. You know, bad is a strong word. It diminishes my social media currency.
Right.
But when I share something and it gets 100
that could
likes,
be used to help other people, which is what you wanted to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in hip hop, we're just not getting enough of that. And it's not because the people that we know don't feel that way. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's just not as interactive a world. And there was a time when we first started doing this podcast that there was numbers pointing to, the statistics were pointing to the fact that the hip hop audience was less social media educated.
Right.
I don't know if
That
that's
can't
still
be
the
true
case.
anymore.
It's been 6 years, guys.
Yeah.
Like, internet is a part of your day-to-day life. And yeah, it would be dope if if there was more interaction happening.
Yeah.
And part of it might be a podcast world. I can tell you, podcasting world in general, it's really hard to get interaction.
Yeah.
But hip hop, it would be dope if in hip hop we had more interaction, more communication, more likes.
Yeah.
You liking an update is not taking anything away from you. I promise you.
Yeah.
Nobody's looking at that and going like, oh man, he liked that. Ew, he liked that podcast released.
You know what I've gotten in a habit
He must
of
be on
doing?
that dude's dick.
Every morning, I go to my Instagram and I refresh the search. You know, the search area where it brings up just thousands of pictures you might be interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And I just go down and it's just a little game I play with myself. I try to be as honest as
This
possible.
is which pictures?
If you just click your search button, the first pictures you see are pictures that they think you might want to see.
In Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so I scroll, and a lot of them, I mean, they're pretty spot on. They know what you like.
Yeah.
Like yours, Arash, will be all girls with tits out. And
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, mostly black porn.
Yeah.
But mine happens to be like pictures and, stuff. So,
Really weird. Black porn.
hey, dude, you like what you
I
like.
do like black porn.
Yeah. Okay. So,
You do?
Why not?
but anyways, I go on it and I just try to be honest. And the way I look at it, again, this is how I structured it in my head. I want to just spread some positivity this morning. If I like it, I'm going to tell them that I like it.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like, because that's the least I could do. They're putting it out there. Hey, I really like that. That picture makes me feel cool. I like to look at it.
Yeah.
Boom, I like it. And I try to make it a point every morning. And I find, this is me, and this is the woo-woo side of me.
Yeah.
But I feel better.
Yeah.
I feel good. I know how I feel when somebody like genuinely likes something that I like and they express that. That's cool. And if that's the least you can do, and by the way, Rosh is 100% right. It takes like a minute.
It takes a minute to like something?
No, to like all of it.
Yeah,
Like I can get in a good 20, 30 pictures in a minute.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. That's a good one though.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Wait,
I'd
you
say.
hit search on Instagram? Because I'm doing that right now and I don't see.
I'll show you
a
right
photo
after.
feed. Okay.
Okay, let me see. Hold on, let me bring mine.
Let me
up.
see.
Oh, I can't do this during the show.
Okay. All right. Continue. What's your lesson?
I would have liked to see hip hop. I don't know what it was this year. I feel like I think there's a lot of hip hop personas in leadership positions, and they're doing really positive things in the community. But I felt like, and this is just me personally, I felt like hip hop took politics off this year. And I thought they could have done a lot more. I would have liked to see hip hop be a little more vocal. And I know people are right now, oh, Immortal Technique and blah, blah, blah. I know.
I agree.
Some people did do that.
I agree.
I get it. But I guess I'm calling out more of like the OGs in the game. Like, say some shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's okay for you. This is what I don't want hip hop to do. And this is just a personal thing again. Some people probably want the exact opposite. I understand. I'd like hip hop not to grow older and more to the right.
Right.
Because that's a thing that people do in general. I have a higher expectation of hip hop. I hold you to a higher standard. I feel like you should have more of an understanding of just what's right for the whole more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And be more vocal about it because hip hop holds such a powerful voice. it is the voice of the last few generations at this point now, and it seems to continue to influence the world. It would be cool to have them speak out a little bit more, especially in the politics in America. I felt like they sat it out for the most part.
I would definitely say it feels like, because right now hip hop is going through that part of its journey where it is going inward.
Yeah.
And that is a beautiful thing. Like artists in hip hop are definitely like taking artistic risks more than they ever have.
Yeah.
Exploring the medium, really getting into like personal psychology. Like, you're right, 2016 could almost be seen as like the time of hip hop history where hip hop really went introspective.
Yeah.
It really went inward. And
I'm not saying it wasn't in need. It probably was in need.
Yeah.
But I don't think being something that grew from a socially conscious viewpoint should never take social topics off. You know what I mean? Or whatever. You know what I mean?
It is part of the journey. No, I fully agree with you. I noticed that for sure. And I think so in the independent scene, that's what happened.
Yeah.
And in the mainstream, I mean, they just kind of checked out completely. Like, now it's just a matter of selling the very few records that they can.
Yeah, and in the mainstream, I know the argument is, well, it was either Hillary or Trump, and we don't want to get in bed with either one of them, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm sure some of the third party and below could have used your help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or fucking find somebody who does. You know, I think hip-hop, if they take themselves seriously, should understand and should think about, hey, there's a possibility that we could run a candidate.
Yeah.
And we could win. We could run and win a candidate. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, if we can like and share shit more.
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly. But that's what I'm saying. All this shit is connected. And like, I think it would be really dope, like, for us to look at ourselves that way. And I think then that would bleed into the way we treat ourselves, into things like sharing good content. And I think those are we as a whole have to take ourselves more serious. And one of the big things on that is something that I feel proud about that we've done on our show, and I feel like we've helped spread this a little bit more, is ageism and reverse ageism. You know what I mean? Like, it's well, I guess it's just ageism across the board. I just thought about reverse ageism is like hating on the people with Benjamin Button disease. But no, so ageism, where the older cats are like, the younger cats don't know shit. The younger cats are, we don't want to hear what the older cats have to say. And that's silly kid shit.
Yeah.
That doesn't help the culture grow. That shows the immaturity of the culture.
That may have contributed to that decrease in political discourse.
Yeah. I definitely see that. I can definitely see that. And so I think that...
Because the older cats are like, well, fuck, these kids don't want to hear anything we're saying anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
And they probably, on a fundamental level, are starting to agree less.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the kids coming up have different concerns than older people have going forward. But I think one thing we can all agree on is we want to be able to create a creative and social atmosphere where people don't feel threatened.
Yeah.
That's enough. Like, that's the jumping off point. If we can all just agree, hey, everybody, like, none of us like to fight, right? Like, fighting sucks. I'd like to go to the park and not have anybody think I shouldn't be at the park. Yeah. You know, that's just, let's start with these little things. And hip hop can spread that quicker than anything right now. Music in general, art, can spread it quicker than anything. And who runs the internet? You know what I mean? Like, these big people with social media followings arguably run the internet. They influence the internet, you know? So I would like to see hip hop's contribution a little bit more on the political side this coming year, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, because I think this coming year we're gonna need some shit. Shit's about to get cray.
Yeah. For all you guys talking shit about 2016, I kept thinking, like, man, 2017 is gonna get way worse.
Thank you, dude. Thank you.
Shit's gonna be fucked.
That was my favorite. I was thinking that exact same thing, dude. I was like, wait a minute. I think you should reserve the right to hold on to that, because
worst
we
year
haven't
ever.
seen shit yet. Yeah.
No, in fact, I forget who it was. Breaking down for me, like, some of these like alt-right militias and stuff that are starting to form. Like these groups. There's all these groups. For listeners don't know, there's all these like subgroups that the government's always had their eye on. Government usually doesn't know, what each thing is going to lead to. So, for example, we do know from personal experience that there are eyes on, like, the followers of Psycho Realm.
Yeah.
Like the government is watching. And we're saying the government is such a vast word. But, like, there's internal intelligence agencies, the FBI. Like, they're watching.
Yeah.
They're watching groups of people that it's not because they're actually planning to, like, stop them from releasing music or some other conspiracy bullshit. It's that when something like a revolution or general uproar begins in a country,
right?
What happens is all these groups who have some sort of leadership start to join into that, and
at a grassroots level,
right? And being able to find these groups and just being able to keep track of them is an important part of what a government does in order to kind of be stable,
right?
So of course, like we know, we've told the story before about how we know that they're watching like Psycho Realm, like we watched that crew, There's a look, there's a tribal kind of attitude, there is a leadership, there's these musicians that they listen to.
There's a message system.
The
way they spread their media.
Right. And mind you, like, for the most part, from what I hear, like, Sick Jack, and like, he's a brilliant dude, but really wants to just drink his whiskey. Like, I mean, like, I don't know if he's actually going to be, marching people through the streets.
Yeah.
But that fear does exist.
Yeah.
Government watches groups like that just in case. And, that's the thing. Who knows? Shit might get really fucked up in a few years, and Sick
they
Jack
actually
decides,
might be,
like, I do want, like, now it's time to fucking utilize this force that we have.
Yeah.
So we have groups like them, but then there's like a bunch of like militia groups, white supremacist groups, KKK. There's a lot of scary groups in the world, and right here in the United States, they're watching these groups. What's happening is that these groups are getting more and more militarized these days.
Yeah.
They're watching it happen, and what you're seeing, like right now, like there's this response, like it looks like racism is really showing up, and it's gotten bigger in the country. Like it's always been there.
Yeah.
It's just that these groups are becoming more mobilized, than they ever been.
Sure.
So you want to say 2016 was a terrible year? Like what's happening is like probably about 8 years out.
Yeah, I'd say
these groups are going to get more active.
I'd say this. Here's a good way to look at it. The complaints about 2016 were mostly based, I'm talking about in the political system, on ideas of shit that might happen.
Yeah.
2017, they're actually going to try to put some of these things to, they're not going to be ideas anymore.
Yeah.
A lot of these things are going to go into place. And so, I mean, I look back on 2016 and people were like, oh, we lost a lot of good people, and we lose a lot of good people all the time.
Yeah. It's just because that age group, I think, is on social media.
That's what it is, too. Yeah, that age group is on social media.
Because my dad would often tell me, like, oh, did so-and-so, Kirk Jameson died. I'm like, who the fuck is Kirk? I don't know who that is. Yeah. Oh, he was great. He was in this movie, all these great black and white movies. Like, I don't fucking know
my
who
mom
he is.
does that, too.
Yeah.
You know what? They probably Google a lot of things about death.
No, word spreads to them because they're probably on some email list.
Yeah.
Your aunt from some other state is forwarding forward people that, Kirk Jameson died this year, star of Wars of Chest. And
my mom is on the, right now, I'm still...
The Wrath of the Gods.
She hasn't figured out the concept of digital chain letters. And, Facebook... I would think that it's probably not. I haven't got one from like a young person in a long time. It's mostly older people who see this concept, and it'll be addressed to like 1,000 people. And then my mom gets that.
Let's see how many of you actually read these.
Yeah. I need you to post this on your page. Don't rewrite it. Don't just copy it and share it.
Yeah.
And so my mom's like, well, her latest one was like, well, I don't want to not do it because then they'll know. So she thinks like the creator of that thing will somehow find her, and I'm like, but then what would happen? And she's like, I don't know, like you see how they say on TV, like people will come after you, and I'm like, whoa. What?
That was a lot.
Yeah, that's really, and these are my mom's, she's an older lady, and that generation is on on Facebook now.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're running around. They run Facebook now,
Yeah.
by the way. The older people run Facebook. I know most of my friends, if I want to contact them, I just hit them on Instagram.
Is that why she shared my Combo Frog episode
Dude,
of Burner
she
Podcast?
shares
a lot of things.
everything. Like, I'll just share.
That's the first episode of Burner Podcast that she shared. And that one was about, like, getting toad poison on your skin.
She has no idea what.
Yeah.
I guarantee you she didn't read it. She just
Yeah.
saw that
Yeah,
other
yeah.
people shared it.
Yeah.
What if you find out that she didn't? You
Yeah,
know?
Ross, what
Why
would
don't
you
you
do?
do it right now, Ross? What would happen?
I would be so pissed.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Next time I come over there, I should just be like extra quiet for no reason. Like, hey, Miss Reyes, what's up? just like, oh god, I hope he doesn't think that I did this shirt that other thing. Can I say, by the way,
Yeah.
I wore a scarf that your mom gave me all day yesterday.
Yeah. Did you get compliments?
Yeah,
Yeah.
people were like, wow, that's a style.
She's good with scarves, socks. She's big on underwear. You know, that's about that's the reach of her,
good.
fashion thing.
That's good.
Yeah.
What plans do you guys have for 2017?
Yeah. Let's go 2017. Start with you, Eddie.
Let me see.
Producer extraordinaire.
For me, continuing my journey as far as being open and, letting the universe direct me to wherever it wants to direct me. I just kind of look at things now and kind of, say, that's for me. Okay, let me run this way. Sometimes not knowing or not even thinking about what the outcome might be, but
It's
I know
just a feel.
Yeah, it's a feel, but it's good because I've had those before, so I just kind of follow that instinct. So I think just doing that.
Trusting your instinct.
Man, how did Eddie become the biggest hippie out of all of us?
I don't know, man.
I don't know, man.
It was that DMT, man.
I know.
And my anger that I had after.
It was that ooh wait.
Yeah. And just, as far as on family side, having my wife being able to just continue her English courses and
Because
get
she's
better
a
and better.
Spanish speaker, right?
Spanish speaker, yeah. Not sure if you guys knew, but I was living in Tijuana for a while. Now I'm back in San Diego, and just maybe trying to get my boy into a school at 3 years.
How old is he?
He's 2 years and 3 months.
2 years and 3 months. So what age do they start?
Well, they start on either 4.5-ish to 5. But they do have some schools that start them at 3.
And you want to try to get him in early?
I'll try to get them in
Fucking
early.
Doogie Howser over here.
Indeed.
What about you, Arash?
For 2017?
2017, some personal goal maybe, big picture goal.
So
Yeah.
I've recently started DJing,
Yes.
so that's been like weird. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I've had the itch for a long time,
Yeah.
but I had this blockage about like every DJ that I know. What?
You just said I've had an itch for a long time
Yeah.
because I've had this blockage. I'm just going to use that part. I'm going to edit out everything else.
I think there's a cream that we should get for that. I've had the DJ itch for a long
Yeah.
time, but I had this psychological blockage about it, like the feeling that one, I knew too many amazing DJs.
Yeah.
I just always have known a lot of DJs, and I was like, fuck, that's exactly what the world needs, is another DJ,
Oh my
especially somebody who
gosh.
comes in this late into the game.
You were your own hater.
Yeah. Comes in this late into the game
Oh.
and is like, I'm not a music encyclopedia.
Yeah.
That's from listeners who listen to the show. No, like there's a reason I'm still doing the show after 6 years, but you couldn't ask me about so and so record and so and so.
Yeah.
It's probably not likely that I'm gonna remember it. But I don't know, just like something switched and the itch got harder, and I couldn't find the proper cream.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I started.
Now
I
it's
started
breaking
learning.
out.
Yeah, now it's a full breakout, and I've started playing around with it. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I got some equipment and so I'm exploring it. It's like a whole new thing, and I'm super early in my journey, but
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever started a new thing before in my life that immediately got me as excited as this did.
Yeah.
And I found that I could implement all the lessons that I've learned on my artistic journey to it so quickly and easily.
Yeah.
You know?
So this year, will we see Mr. Arash play live somewhere?
Yeah, for sure.
People,
that'd be
people will
awesome.
be able to see it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That part is undeniable. I'm
All right.
certain.
Yeah.
I would say I feel like I'm gonna be ready in like 4 months to do some small things.
Nice.
I'm throwing a number out there.
Yeah, you're in the gym right now.
Yeah.
As long as no injuries happen.
Right. I got it. The muscle memory just has to get straight down. Like right now, I'm still doing the thing where like I'll accidentally not hit the cue right.
Yeah.
And so as I'm listening to my next track, it's playing on the speakers.
It's playing loud. That's a basic one.
Yeah, so like little things like that. It's muscle memory.
Yeah.
So like you can remember to do that real quickly and then be focused on picking your next track kind of thing.
What about
But it's so much of it is like photography though.
Yeah.
Like it's all this journey that I've been on with photography. It just feels like it's really easy. It's really easily translated to DJing.
Nice.
So, like, there's always, like, the older cats that are like, if you're not shooting with film, you're not a real photographer.
Yeah,
that's funny because I am a professional photographer and I've never shot on film.
Yeah.
In fact, I was giving some friends a photography lesson before we started this show.
Yeah.
I was telling them, like, dude, just... Like, when I started shooting, I was predominantly using aperture priority as the setting.
Yeah.
Which does, like, takes care of some of the settings for you automatically.
Yeah.
And I kind of like kept it a secret, like just didn't want to talk about because like, photographers would say like, if you're not shooting on full manual, you're not really a photographer. And then so like a few years have passed and now I'm reading in blog posts and magazines, like photography magazine stuff regularly that's pretty much what most photographers
it's
are
all
shooting
over
events.
the place, bro.
Aperture priority.
Yeah.
So the haters, for lack of a better description, will always find a way to make you feel like you're less.
Yeah.
And I've already gone through this enough times.
So don't do it to yourself.
Right.
There's enough people out there who are going to do it for you. Because you listed all the things that your haters would probably say. Now they can't fucks with you.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I thought that about myself a long time ago, way before you did.
Yeah. And even just like what we're saying about your art earlier about how like, who's your audience?
Yeah.
We were talking about this earlier in the week. Like I really don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I do not give a fuck about the dance floor. I don't give a fuck about playing music that people are I'm just going to play exactly what I feel like playing.
Yeah.
And that will find its own audience on its own. That's something
right.
we've learned from this artistic journey. Don't worry about trying to please people.
It's not a sprint.
People will find it.
Right.
Because there are other people out there who are interested in what you're creating and maybe just didn't know until they hear it. Like I like to spin techno and tech house, but I really like vocals.
Yeah.
And that's something that typically you don't hear a lot of in techno and tech house. So I'm going to be using a lot more vocals in techno
sets. Try to find a way to bridge the gap.
Yeah.
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 You're just making what you like.
Yeah.
Because it's
controlling the itch.
Yeah.
And controlling the itch to make sure that it doesn't spread
past the
balls.
underwear line.
Yeah. Oh, gross.
Oh, it's a bad area.
That's where the vocals come in.
Yeah. 2017. What are you doing, Chris?
Mine's pretty simple. I'm going to release my first zine series.
Yeah.
Which is I'm excited about. Mini magazine, sort of, with my photography and themes. I'm going to release 2 projects, an EP pretty soon. And then in the summer, I'm going to release another EP. Excited about it. Got to work with some of my favorite artists, some of my favorite producers. It's definitely this first EP that I'm putting out. I definitely am glad I waited. And I'm glad I stayed true to my concept in my head. Because the other day, 2 days ago, New Year's Day, that evening...
New Year's Day was yesterday.
Yeah, okay, yesterday. New Year's Day, I was going through the list of beats that I'm considering for the album.
Right.
And I heard the album, and I was like, wow, this is...
Nice.
Yeah, I almost got a little emotional. I was like, whoa, it's here. Like, here's the album. This is the album that I've always wanted. This is the album that I've really was shooting to make. And I think it's like, I'm excited. So
nice.
I'm definitely going to put out a lot more shit. This coming year is going to be a lot of my art out there, and I'm probably going to be on the road a lot this year.
Nice. Very nice.
That's all I'm shooting for, really.
And I'm going to try to get on the camera a lot more.
Yeah.
Than I normally do.
Like sit on it?
I already did that and it didn't work.
Okay.
It wasn't taking any pictures.
You can't shoot that in aperture mode.
Yeah. Came up with it did, there was a beautiful series of super artsy photos
Asshole
that you did
photos.
come out of.
Yeah.
There's a series of Eddie's assholes.
Nice.
Yeah. That was really nice.
I really enjoyed that
What was
gallery
that
opening.
called? Cornholes of America. Something, I don't know.
Deep inside Eddie Rangel.
Yeah. But I definitely think you guys, listeners, ridden with us. We wanted to start off the year with just you guys, just us and you guys. Look out tomorrow. I can't emphasize this. It's a culmination of the last 6-7 years coming together in the right way, and we're launching 24-hour radio station. 2Mex Hologram is the curator, but you're going to be hearing us, me and Arash, have a home there now.
Right.
So bear with us on some of the changes. You're going to be hearing some of the changes. Definitely platformcollection.com is going to start broadening its audience through bringing in even more diverse artists.
So broad.
The cousins of hip hop, may we say, like there's going to be a lot of different things. We're covering a vibe. At Platform Collection, I think that's the best way to look at it. They don't cover a series or a type of music. They just cover a vibe.
Yeah.
And whatever fits into that. And it may be rapping and it may not be rapping. But it's definitely going to broaden. We hope that you ride with us. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. Thank you for coming.
Yes.
We'll see you next time. But for you people who are riding with us and going into the next chapter, I think you're going to be super happy this year. Look for Platform Collection live shows. Again, kicking off tomorrow at Complex LA. I need to read this. I got to do this ad, Arash.
Okay.
Make noises. Yes. Yeah. Good build up.
Sound like a cat.
Okay. Never mind.
I'm purring now.
Maybe less noises. Maybe less. Okay, let's just cut the noises altogether. Okay. Tomorrow, 2Mex Hologram Radio official launch party. If you're in the LA area or in your Southern California area, period. Complex LA. If you've never been to this venue, it's an amazing venue. It's a pretty big size venue. We're going to sell it out. I can tell you right now, it's pretty much almost there.
It's the best venue. It's one of the greatest venues.
It's listen to who we got on the lineup, Arash. You're not even going to believe this.
Okay.
Of Mexican descent, together.
Wow. Yeah.
2Mex and Cholo Lancinco are headlining. Dirty Birdie is coming to. Satire, Namek.
Get the fuck out of town.
Lenoski.
Found Lenoski.
Our homies, the Soul Providers.
Yeah.
Wow.
And myself. I'll be opening it up.
Nice.
So come through. It's going to be an amazing show. Again, it will sell out. I can just tell you this. My guest list alone, we're sold out.
Nice.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't have 200 per people. I got like 15, so get at me quick. Yeah, guys, come celebrate. It's just going to be if you weren't there for 2Mex's comeback show that we did at Complex LA, you missed some monumental hip-hop history. Got to see Kid Frost bust a freestyle with Razkaz. It was crazy. Believe that the Cypher will jump off at the end of the night again. I can already tell you just on my guest list, if any of those people jump up on the stage, it's going to be pretty epic.
Yeah.
So, and I'm pretty sure they're all going to jump up on stage at some point. Come out and rock with us. Once we hit 200 people capacity, it's done. We cannot let anybody else in. Fire marshals are already on our asses. 200 people. That's it. Tomorrow at Complex LA.
Beautiful. Tomorrow, if you're listening to this show immediately upon release.
Yes, Thursday.
So the actual date of the show is
the 6th.
January 6th. So
January
if you're listening to this show after that, you missed it already.
You're fucked. It was awesome.
It was amazing.
We thought of you though.
Oh my God.
Arash made a speech about you.
Yeah.
It was cool.
It was really poetic.
Yeah.
We should take this episode out with oh yeah, do you want to ride with us?
What?
My voice just went completely.
Yeah. Eddie, can you sing that?
Oh yeah.
Do you want to ride with us? Ride with us.
Oh yeah.
Wow, wow.
Do you want to ride with us?
Anyway.
Oh
yeah.
All right. Well, you may now flush the toilet.
by platformcollection.com.